What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking about one of the most anticipated editions of Ride Along, or really any piece of content on the network in recent memory, that being the Braun and Alexa's Little Big Adventure edition of Ride Along, featuring the reunion of Team Little Big for Mixed Match Challenge Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, as well as Titus Worldwide, Titus O'Neil, Apollo Crews, who got his last name back, by the way. He's no longer just Apollo. He's now Apollo Crews once again, and Dana Brooke. And I don't mean to set your standards or set your expectations high from the get-go, but let me tell you, this might have been one of my favorite, if not one of the best, editions of Ride Along in a long, long time. If ever. Probably ever. One of the best episodes of Ride Along I've ever seen. So I don't mean to set your expectations too high here, but it is a pretty great episode. So anyway, we kick things off with Braun Strowman yelling at Alexa for being hungry. The guy's starving. He hasn't eaten since before the show. And I think this part's of work where it's like, oh, Alexa Bliss is uneasy about riding with Braun, and she doesn't know how he's going to react. Is he going to be difficult to ride with because he's hungry and he's on the edge and he's tired, blah, blah, blah. I think that part's of work. Dana Brooke goes so far as to wish her good luck for riding with Braun. She knows what it's like. He can be difficult to ride with, apparently. And I mean, again, I think this is all a work here. The beginning is anyway. Because he is just fine once the ride gets underway. And him and Alexa, I mean, again, like I said earlier, just have just amazing chemistry together. Just absolutely terrific chemistry, as I've said multiple times in the past in my reviews for the Mixed Match Challenge. So anyway, Team Little Big is on the license plate for their car. And they're leaving from Buffalo to Cleveland, Ohio. So Braun gets super impatient right from the get-go. In addition to being hungry, in addition to being tired, he does not like people getting in his way on the road. And Braun Strowman is not a person you want to piss off, if the last number of months of Raw have been any indication. So anyway, Braun and Alexa off to a rocky start here on Ride Along. Meanwhile, Dana Brooke calls her mom, and they're asking about her. Well, Titus O'Neil first takes the phone after Dana Brooke calls her, and they ask Dana's mom about the quote-unquote dry-ass casserole. And they're wondering if they can have food when they get there. I guess Dana Brooke is from the Cleveland area. She lives in Cleveland. So they're hoping to eat, I guess, her famous casserole, her dry-ass casserole when they get there. That's what they said, which was funny. And that would not be the last appearance of Dana Brooke's mom on the phone. She also plays a very pivotal role in this edition of Ride Along. Anyway, Alexa and Braun Strowman talk about being bodybuilders. They can relate in that respect. Titus O'Neil says he's very close with Batista, and he wants to break into Hollywood, and that this might be the last time we ever see Titus O'Neil, because Batista is going to get him a role in Xfinity War, or the Marvel Universe, whatever, according to Titus, obviously all tongue-in-cheek. So he goes so far as to call Batista. Batista picks up, too. This is not an instance where, like, when they called CM Punk after Raw, The Rock did after Raw a few years ago. I think it was only last year. And CM Punk didn't pick up. It went to his voicemail. That was not the case here. Batista picked up the phone, so we technically got the unofficial return of Batista on Ride Along, which is so fucking ironic. Batista picks up the phone, but WWE will not for Batista's calls. I just found that so funny. The timing of this could not be any fucking better. But anyway, Titus asks if he got invited to the movie premiere for Infinity War, and Batista said, it's on a Monday, you're probably not going to be able to make it. And Batista jokes about, hey, Titus, I don't know if we can ever get you a role in a movie, but I'm working on a new project right now. We have a role for some young girl, and hey, Dana Brooke, let me give me your address, and maybe I'll send you the script. And then Titus hangs up on him. So great to hear Batista here on Ride Along. That was pretty cool to see. Anyway, Braun Strowman talks about the origins of the "Get These Hands" catchphrase that debuted a few months ago. I think on the New Year's Day edition of Monday Night Raw, he was in a match against Rhino. And Heath Slater was like interfering, and he took a mic and goes, hey, unless you want to get in this ring, why don't you stand the outside and mind your own business, or get in the ring and get these hands, or something along those lines. And he said that was something he had never said before. That I don't even know why that was on his mind, but it randomly came up, and it stuck. And it wasn't until he got to the back where he's like, wow, that stuck. I did not mean to say that. That was never intentional. And now it's a fucking t-shirt. Anyway, Titus O'Neil talks about Titus Worldwide and the evolution of the stable, going from Apollo Crews last year to recruiting Akira Tozawa, and we never really got a payoff for that either. He won the Cruiserweight Championship, which they acknowledged here, then he lost it 6 days later back to Neville, and that was it. No more Akira Tozawa and Titus Worldwide. And then Dana Brooke came in a little on later down the road, and she's been a good addition to the group so far. Alexa Bliss talks about enjoying Mixed Match Challenge and how it wasn't scripted, and how it was just a lot of fun to just kind of kick back, relax, and do some unscripted stuff for a change. Braun Strowman says he recalls, how him and Alexa Bliss had some chemistry on the show, and how Alexa was, and I quote, playing hard to get, and that he came close to getting those lips. That's what he says. He came close to getting those lips from Alexa Bliss on the show. And we kind of leave off on a cliffhanger there. We don't really know what the payoff was going to be. Like I said, they had that great chemistry on Mixed Match Challenge, and it was never followed up on Raw. And they never ended up having that one kiss. Maybe because Buddy Murphy would have gotten mad or something, but who gives a fuck about Buddy Murphy? Let Braun and Alexa be a thing on TV. That's what I got to say about that. Anyway, Apollo asks Titus and Dana, have you ever done something on TV that you knew was embarrassing, but you had to do it anyway? And Dana says, for me, it was dressing up as Ric Flair at Extreme Rules. 2016, I think it was, because I was there. And she looked completely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But she did it anyway. For Crews, it was the 4th of July food fight on Raw 2 years ago. That same year, a few months after that incident with Dana Brooke at Extreme Rules, where he did the 4th of July food fight. He was having an arm wrestling contest with Cesaro, and he was like, yeah, that was terrible. Or Dana Brooke said, oh, that was terrible. I thought it was a lot of fucking fun. I enjoyed that thoroughly, personally. And then for O'Neil, it was the keg run on NXT when he had to run with a keg in his hands. And this was back when NXT was a fucking shit show. He had to run around the ring with a keg in his hands, and he tripped like 2 seconds in, and it became like a highlight reel for the ages for O'Neil's career. And then, wouldn't you know it, that he trips and falls at the Greatest Royal Rumble literally days before this airs. And they showed the footage of that here too. They said 8 years later, and they showed the replay of the botch. So the timing of this, I'm so happy they waited until this day to air it after Raw last week. Because it came after the big botch and Mixed Match Challenge, Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm thinking about Team Little Big here. And it also came after the reports that Batista was being dodged by WWE on the phone. And then he appears on this show. So, again, this whole thing is just great. The timing of the show could not be any better. Anyway, Braun Strowman says, you might find this surprising about me, but I like to make people laugh. And he really, really enjoyed doing the whole Elf parody. And people, were all up in arms about that late last year. Like, oh, why are they having Braun do fucking comedy? It's like, dude, it's a YouTube video. Who gives a shit? And it was funny as hell, too. So he dressed up as Will Ferrell's character, an elf, running around. I don't know what town it was, but he was wearing the tights and all, and women were whistling at him, and it was like he felt super uncomfortable, but he loved it because he was making people laugh. Back to Dana. She remembers eating 3 desserts. She went out to dinner with her old boyfriend, who has since passed away, so my condolences to her. But she was out to dinner with her boyfriend, I believe. I think he was the one who passed away. And she had dessert 3 times. She ordered 3 desserts. So she holds nothing back here and saying that she started pooping uncontrollably. She doesn't use the word pooping, but she's like, I was on the toilet going to the bathroom uncontrollably. That was the word that she used. So she was having fucking diarrhea here, which is so disgusting. And worse yet, she's at her boyfriend's place, and her boyfriend got up, and she couldn't flush it either. She couldn't flush it. There was so much poop in the toilet, she couldn't flush it. And she just left it. So her boyfriend gets up and she's like, where are you going? And we've all run into this at some point or another, I'm sure. And he goes, I'm just going to the kitchen. And then she started to get really nervous and she just left. So we never really got a payoff to the story if the boyfriend found out. He must have found out. There's fucking poop in the toilet that she didn't flush. So, and it starts to stink after a while. I'm listening to this. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? That is so gross. But it's and Dana Brooke of all people, you would think it would be Apollo or even Titus. But no, it was Dana Brooke telling the story. And that would not be the final time we would hear about poop on this episode. So, anyway, Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss recall their experience at Red Lobster, and Braun says that he wanted Alexa's biscuit, Read into that what you will. Miss Biscuit Butt over here. That's what they called her on TV, so I don't know if that's what Braun was talking about. I don't know, read in between the lines there, if you will. Anyway, so Dana starts farting. Titus O'Neil and Apollo can smell it in their car. And that leads Dana to talking about, that leads her to bringing up Braun Strowman's poop app. And he's talked about this before. He's gone on the record and talking about it like a few years ago on the Talk is Jericho podcast, on one of those Talk and Shop shows. Braun talked about having a poop app on his phone where wherever he goes poop in the country or even the world, he puts a little marker on his phone. That's where I pooped. So that's what he does. So anyway, Dana stops at a gas station. She really has to go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Alexa and Braun, they stop at a Wendy's for the food that they've been waiting oh so long for. So Strowman orders like all this shit. Like he orders like 2 chickens, 5 wraps, a small fry, and they have to wait like, they're like, oh, wait 10 minutes. It's like 3 times as long. Because Braun, he tweets about it and getting frustrated that he wants his fucking food. So he ends up complaining to Wendy's about it on Twitter, who then responded. And the Wendy's Twitter is one of the funniest Twitter accounts on Twitter. And I think they're a wrestling fan too. Whoever controls that account must be a wrestling fan, or either does their research really, really well. Because they're always responding to wrestlers, making wrestling references and all this other shit. They're great. And they're super fucking funny. Anyway, so they get the order. There's no small fry in there. So Braun Strowman, Alexa's like, oh, it's fine. And Braun's like, no, it's not. So he goes inside to get a small fry back. So again, Braun is not a happy camper on the show. So then they call Dana's mom back, Titus and Apollo, that is, to ask her what's up with the food. You making the food? You making the chicken? Because we're fucking hungry. And she says on the phone, hey, I didn't have time to make the food. I didn't have time to go to the grocery store. So they're starting to get mad, like, oh shit, we're really fucking hungry. And they start talking on the phone about Dana's ability or inability to flush toilets. Because apparently she was so used to automatic toilets as a kid that as an adult, she doesn't flush toilets. So she leaves toilets with the poop and pee in there. That's fucking disgusting, but that's what they said on the show. They left it in. So anyway, while Braun Strowman is at the Wendy's, he poops. He poops at the Wendy's just so he could put a little marker down on his phone. He tells Alexa Bliss about this, and she probably had no idea what he was talking about, or had no idea that he did this, because she's like, dude, what the fuck? She doesn't say that, but she gives him a look like, okay, what a fucking weirdo. But anyway, so Dana Brooke tries to get the attention of some driver for Titus O'Neil, and he's happily married, so he wants like none of this, and this is all televised there. This is all being recorded, so he's obviously not going to play along. Not the same way that Mojo Rawley did a few years ago on Breaking Ground. Anyway, they play the passcode game where it's guys against girls. So it's between the 2 cars. They call each other up on the phone. So one girl has to say one word. Like, let's say, for example, Apollo said, and they use this in the episode, Apollo says over. And then Braun has to say whatever comes to mind. And he says Braun Strowman, so because he knows that he's over. So that's how it works. Dana Brooke cheats, or Alexa Bliss cheats by cheating Dana Brooke, Brooklyn Brawler, because Alexa Bliss is NYC. And Dana Brooke immediately says, Brooklyn Brawler. How the fuck is she going to know Brooklyn Brawler from NYC? That makes absolutely no sense. So the men win, ultimately. Anyway, after Apollo says cheater, and then Braun says Alexa Bliss. So that was funny. Dana Brooke, with it being her home state, her hometown, whatever, she gives Titus and Apollo a quick tour of Cleveland, and they want none of this because they desperately want to just go into the hotel and go to sleep. So anyway, they get to the hotel. Braun Strowman carries Alexa inside like the good old days, and that's that. So again, this is a great episode. From the cameo of Batista on the phone to Braun and Alexa, or Braun and Dana Brooke talking about pooping and all this other shit the entire show, and then the just pure amazing chemistry between Team Little Big, Alexa Bliss, and Braun Strowman. This show is sensational. Check out Ride Along, the Braun and Alexa's Little Big Adventure show. It's fucking great. It's on the WWE Network, aired last week after Raw. So anyway, guys, thank you for checking out my review of WWE Ride Along right here on WWE Network and Chill. I will be back next week, next Monday, with another all-new installment of the show. Until then, guys, have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.